Hello everyone and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I hope everyone's doing great out there. On today's episode we're going to make this whimsical painting of a columbine flower. Now I'm using Topaz Studio 2, my creative toolbox, along with the Nik Collection Color Efex Pro 4. I'm working out of Photoshop today, but you could use either Topaz or the Nik Collection as a standalone application if you wanted to. That would work too. Oh, and by the way, this is Cyber Monday. I'll leave my affiliate links for all the Black Friday specials in the description below where you can take advantage of those specials. I make a small commission and it helps me keep these tutorials coming your way. So I want to thank you for that. And I just want to really point out a really super deal is the Topaz Suite, which is everything Topaz make. You get 68% off. And then if you use my promo code, you'll receive an extra 15% off of what they call the Everything Bundle. Now, my promo code is David Kelly. That's all one word, David Kelly. And don't forget the affiliate links for all the software that I use and recommend are in the description below. Take advantage of those Black Friday specials. And now, without any further ado, and I mean it, let's get started. The first thing I want to do is send this into Color Efex Pro 4. So I'm going to open up the Nik Selective tool and click on Color Efex Pro 4, and that launches Color Efex Pro 4. Now here we are. I'm looking at recipes today. I just want to get a really fast start at making this painting, and I think these recipes are going to help me. So these are some sample recipes that we can look at here. I'm not going to click on any of these, but I'm going to go back and look at some of these on vogue recipes here. Now these are the recipes that DXO came out when they first took over the Nik Collection, and now we have these 25th anniversary recipes, and I showed you some of these the other day in a video that I've done. But I'm going to go back and we're going to look at on vogue recipes today. And let's go through some of these. Here's one called Blue Monday, and that's really cool. It doesn't look blue, but it's called Blue Monday. Here's one called Clarity Bump, Contrast in Black and White. And let's see, here's one called Foliage Bump. Well, that's actually not. That was Even on a Cloudy Day. Here's Foliage Bump. And the one I'm interested today, I think, is this one here called Lavender. I think it looks pretty cool. Yeah, doesn't that look really neat? Now, this already has kind of a painterly look, a whimsical look to me, but I wanted to just change up the image a little bit and change up its color tone and that. And I thought Color Efex would give that to me. So let's see, I want to show you something inside of here. Of course, we have different controls, but if you click on control points, there's a hidden opacity slider. So right now I'm working with the detail extractor and I think it's too much. Here's a before and here's an after. Okay, so I thought there was a little too much detail, so I wanted to pull that back. Let's pull it back just a little bit more. Here's a before and after. Yeah, just a little bit extra detail is good. Now here's a filter called Film Effects Nostalgic. Let's shut it off. Now there's the original and here's with the effect on it. There's some different adjustments in here that we can work with. But let's look at film types. They're really cool. You can hover over the film types here. It's a drop-down menu. And as we see, there's different nostalgic film types in here. And there's 12 different ones. And this recipe is using film type 11, which is the one I think I want to use. But let's just hover through some more of these here. But yeah, I think that's the one I want. And there's 12. Now, I think I'm going to settle on 11. There's some really great adjustments in this filter. I'm working with the glow adjustment here, and it adds that ethereal glow. I really love it. Gives you that dreamy look in your image. And now I'm going to work with the perceptual saturation. This is a really cool saturation adjustment. It's not your typical saturation adjustment. I don't know quite how it works, but it does really cool effects to the colors. Let's see the before and after. That looks really good. Now, I'm happy with this, so I'm going to go ahead and send this, click OK, and send this back into Photoshop, and we'll continue from there. But I think we're off to a good start here, and Color Efex got us there really quick. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this tool, and here's our before, and here's our after. So I'm liking the look that we have so far. Next, I'm going to add an adjustment layer from Photoshop, and that's going to be a curves. I think my highlights are a little too hot. I want to tame those down a little bit because when I send this into Topaz Studio 2, sometimes if the highlights are too hot, when I run it through the Impression Painter filter, it gets a little overdone. So I want to just tame those back a little bit. And I think I'm happy with that. Now I'm just going to pull this all together, Shift Option Command or Control E, and that just pulls it all together. And now I'm going to launch my Topaz Studio 2 filter, Topaz Studio 2 or plugin, whichever you like to call it. And now we're going to work on the artistic side of things, and I like to call this my creative toolbox. I'm clicking Add Filter, and the first thing I want to do is work with the AI Remix filter. Right out of the gate, we got a pretty interesting look here, right? I'm going to pull the opacity back. You don't have to keep the opacity up. You can play with it and also play with your blend modes. I highly recommend this. Blend modes can really be your friend when you're working with these artistic filters. So hover through them. Take your time, experiment. I'm going to leave mine on normal and leave it up full. And let's look at some of these different presets here. Now, what AI Remix does is it remaps your image to like works of art, like, like Van Gogh and things like that. And we're just going to play around and check some of these out here. But I like this one right here. It looks good. But I think the opacity is too strong, so I'm going to pull it back. But doesn't that look neat? And now next, once I get it where I like it, and I think it looks good right here. Now there's some other controls like brightness, contrast, saturation, but I'm not going to mess with them. Hey, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. I like it. I'm going to leave it right here. Now I'm going to add another filter, and that's going to be the impression filter. So let's click impression. I love this impression filter, and there's so many things you can do in it. You can change the stroke types. I'm not going to hit everything today, but you can change the number of strokes. Like high would be more detailed, low would be like a more abstract look, and medium would be like in between a very abstract and a not so abstract look. But I'm going to go with a more abstract look, so low, and then we can adjust brush sizes here. And I just play around with these controls, and you can't break anything here, so have fun, let yourself go. Feel free to move these control sliders around and stop at a point where your eye says, hey, this is it. Stop there. And paint volume, paint opacity. Paint opacity is cool. It makes it look like you have a lot of paint build up or less paint build up when you move it to the left, more to the right. And on this one, I think I want it to be a more soft look today. So I'm going to pull my paint opacity to the left. Sometimes I take it to the right. And then I'm going to play with the brush size again and just keep going back and forth. And we'll look at some of these other adjustments in here. Now, spill is a cool one. It'll give you the effect that the paint has been spilled out from the edges. Or if you move it to the left, it'll pull the paint back in. So to the right, it'll spill out. To the left, it'll pull it back in. So hey, how do you know which way to go unless you actually try both ways, right? So try both ways. Now I'm working with the width of the paint stroke. When I move it to the right, I widen the width of the paint stroke. When I move it to the left, I'll narrow the paint stroke width. And then we have the length. We can lengthen it to the right or shorten it to the left. So again, play with it. And this smudge slider is nice. I'm not going to use it today, but I'm going to pull it up and show you here. I've made some really interesting pieces of art with this smudge slider, getting a really cool effect. So I just wanted to show that to you. Now, stroke rotation is cool. Watch when I drag this one. It rotates the strokes. And I like to play with this one because sometimes, like here on this whimsical painting, I think the stroke rotation really helps out. And then you have this rotation variation. So it'll like alter some strokes, maybe going one way, some going another way. So just play with that. And here's a slider I really love is painting progress. So it takes you through the different progressions of the painting process here. Okay, so you can take it the whole way back. And that looks kind of cool, right? That was a nice effect when it was whole way back. But I like to play with this and again, stop at a point where you think it really looks good. And what do I think I want here? Yeah, I'm at what, 0.88, and that's 100% right there. Well, I'm leaving it at 100%. Let's take a look at a before and after. There's a before and there's an after. Yeah, so I like what I'm getting so far. And let me see, what do I want to do next? Decisions. I think I'm going to zoom into this image and add a little bit of canvas texture to it. I like to zoom in when I do this, zoom way in. And pick a canvas. There's a lot of different textures that simulate like concrete and brick and canvas. I like the canvas textures for paintings, obviously, so, and you can adjust the texture size. You can make it larger or smaller. So you have different things that you can do here. So adjust it to where you think it looks right and leave it go at that. So that is a little bit of canvas there. Now, next up, I want to add a precision contrast. And if you watch my tutorials in the past, you know how much I love to add precision contrast with my painterly type images. I'm going to take the micro up. The micro is an interesting slider. Think of it as dealing more with like the sharpness of your image. It works with really small areas of contrast, micro areas. Now we have low. And a lot of times I'll take the low to the right, but in this case, I'm going to take it to the left. And you notice when I take it to the left, it makes it a little more light, not as contrasty. So I'm taking contrast away from the low, taking contrast away from the medium. And now I'm going to take the high up. Now, see how that adds contrast to the high areas, and I don't like it, so I'm going to try taking it away from the high areas of contrast and just softening up my image. Now, that's too much right there, but I'm just going to back that off a little bit, add a little bit more contrast back in. But I've definitely took high contrast away from it, and I think that looks really cool. You have different adjustments in here, but I'm not going to touch those today. Again, I only work with the things that I feel I need to work with. You don't have to touch every slider inside of every filter that you're working with. Okay, so, and now I'm just showing you if I pull my micro back what it looks like. But I know the micro I want it up because I want to add a little bit of sharpness. I don't want to take away from that texture effect that I added. And I think everything looks really good. I'm going to go back to the impression filter and play with the color a little bit in here. There's all kind of adjustments in here. There's color adjustments, HSL color adjustments, very powerful. I just want the overall saturation to bump up a little bit. Now that's way too much, but hey, depends what kind of a mood you're in, right? You may want a lot of color, or if you're in a more melancholy mood, you may want less color. You may want a more somber image, So depending on what mood you are, you're going to adjust the color according to your mood, generally speaking. But I think I'm just going to maybe add I don't know, maybe just a little tiny saturation bump here. And yeah, so now I'm going into the positive side of things. And now that's not too much, but it's a little bit. There's a before and after. It's looking pretty good. What do you think? Hey, leave comments and questions in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. If you're happy, click accept. This will bring us right back into Photoshop. And now let's take a look at everything we've done so far. So let's go back to the original image. I started out with this completed image, sent it into Color Efex Pro 4, and then I added a curves adjustment to it, pulled my highlights down a little bit, and then sent it off to Topaz Studio 2, my creative toolbox, and ended up with this whimsical looking columbine flower. Or I should say columbine painting. Well, there you go. I had a lot of fun today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Hey, if you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends, because when you do that, it really helps my channel out. It helps me to grow my channel, and I appreciate that. And I want to thank every one of you for using my affiliate links when you purchase software. That really helps me out. I make a small commission, helps me to keep these tutorials coming your way. And also, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell notification icon. I really appreciate that. And then you'll be notified each time I upload a new tutorial. Well, thanks for joining me today on The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.